Uh-huh. Beautiful. So, welcome to Uptrust Digital once again, and welcome to the business analysis program, becoming a business analyst program. I actually started. I want to just give like a brief background of Uptrust and also how the whole journey started. So in 2019, after I got my CBAP certificate, so there was a business analysis conference here in Lagos organized by IIBA. IIBA stands for International Institutes of Business Analysis. Let me just type that here. Yeah, International Institute of Business. I think it's off or four. I think it's of business analysis. Maybe off or four. And the beautiful thing is that the headquarters is there in Canada. But the local chapter in Nigeria had a conference then, and I went for the conference. While we were there talking and discussing, we had different session, panel section, keynote speaker session. I was pretty much new to IB at that point in time. So we got to a point in the conference where we had Q&A, question and answer. Can you hear me? Let me just confirm first.
Yes, very well.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we got to the point of Q&A and people were asking questions and I was listening. And to be honest, over 60 to 70% of the questions that people were asking relates to the fact that they don't have quality trainers to train them in business analysis. Because we had those that want to transit, we had those who were junior BAs as at then. So everybody was like, there's pretty much no community, no quality training, a lot of things. People were asking questions. The facilitator and the organizers were trying to answer the questions, responding. And then I rose up my hand. And when I raised up my hand, everybody thought probably I want to ask a question. I picked up the mic. At that point in time, I've always had the passion to train people in business analysis. I've always thought of setting up something that I can use to train and mentor and guide people along the journey of business analysis. So I took the mic and in split second, I told them, okay, I've been listening to the questions that you guys have been asking. And to be very honest, I am actually setting up a training platform where I'm going to teach people business analysis. So if you are interested, I will post further information on the group chat because I had a group chat then. If you are interested, I'm going to paste further, I'm going to share further information on the group chat. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, we're interested, blah, 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 a lot of things. And then I've not even I've not even conceptualized how Uptrust was going to run. So I went back home that night and I sat on my desk and I started thinking and brainstorming, doing research, creating content. In less than 3 weeks, I got everything set up. And then I went ahead to post information and I had about 12 persons show interest and they started the journey. Since then, the journey have started with that 12 persons. It have grown to over 100, 200, 300, going to thousands of persons that have trained in business analysis. And it gives me joy, excuse me, it gives me joy when I see someone that I have trained or had impact in with respect to business analysis, get a job or even transit from their current role or become better in what they are doing in business analysis, because that is actually the vision and the passion with which I use in starting up this business analysis training. And from there on, we went ahead in training product designers. I got a friend who helps to train in quality assurance, software development. Now we also do product management. So The vision of Uptrust basically, people complain for some reasons, but I know people's concerns are valid. But the main vision of Uptrust is to actually help those who want to get practical knowledge and also have practical understanding of what business analysis is, one. Two, to be able to know what to do in a project as a business analyst. By the time we impact these two knowledge and capacity in our students, the next thing then is to help mentor you through that journey, which means even when you finish the training, throughout that journey of transiting from your current career to business analysis, whether you're having interviews or you're applying for jobs, we are there with you in the sense that we help prep you for interviews, we help review your jobs. I still know some of my students that set up one-on-one sessions with me. I give them access to my calendars and they set up one-on-one sessions with me. So we prep you for interviews. Um, Even some of my students that I know that they are still scared about the job. When they get the job, I still offer them 1 month on the job support. So on the job support doesn't mean that I'll be doing a job for you, but if you need some clarity about what you're doing, we can have a 30 minutes call and I will explain to you how to do it. I'll basically tell you, we cover this thing in class. If you can go and read or listen to the recording we had in class on this particular topic, you should be able to do this. But in the meantime, see how you can go about this and go about that. So for me, it's not just about 3 months or 4 months class. It's a continuous journey, a continuous process. So you're able to get that dream job that you want. I've had the privilege to train people that are within Nigeria, those outside of Nigeria, in UK, in US, in Canada. So the first time I trained somebody outside of Nigeria, it was in Canada. And those were two ladies, Chioma and Yo-Yo. If you go to our website, you will see their review there. They were the very first two persons that I trained in business analysis in Canada, right? And they're in Nova Scotia. Chioma just reached out to me in the middle of the night around 1 a.m. I was awake that day doing something on my laptop. That was in 2020 during COVID. She relocated with her family. Same thing with Yo-Yo, her friend. They relocated with her family to Canada. And she remembered that I posted something regarding business analysis training in 2019 after I did the first cohort. So she reached out to me personally on my DM, and then we started talking. She was like, "Oh, I'm so surprised that." Sorry, she said she was so surprised that I was still awake at that point of the day. I said, "No problem." So we discussed, and she said she wants to start. She wants to actually go through this process of transitioning. For her, she has been working in a bank. Both of them are both working in Zenith Bank here in Nigeria, and they've worked for several years. But relocating to Canada, they wanted to actually go into tech, business analysis. So we went through the 3 months journey. And after the 3 months, the first person to actually get a job was Chioma. And I think she got her own job 2 months after the program. So she got her job. She was so surprised. She called me and she was just screaming and laughing. And then after that, Uyo also got her own job. Yo got her job in one of the tertiary institutions as a BA as well, in their technology and digital arm there. So she also got her job as a BA, and they were so happy and excited. And since then, I've been able to train over 60 persons from Canada through Chioma and Yo-Yo. Chioma and Yo-Yo have basically recommended a lot of their friends, family members, network in Canada, and they've all passed through Uptrust. Some, when I finish training them, they get senior BA role in Canada, a lot. Then in 2022, that was when I now started the UK market as well. I started training business analysis for guys in UK, due to the amount of JAPA from Nigeria to UK. So a lot of people needed that transition to tech, especially business analysis. And I started offering training to them. And since 2022 to date, been able to train about approximately, I'll say approximately 200 persons in the UK. And these 200 persons are basically Nigerians, Ghanaians, Jamaicans, Ugandans, and people in the US as well, right? When I say I'm talking about their nationality now, not okay, so Ghanaians and what have you. And it has been an interesting journey for me. It has been a very, very good experience for me. Um, for me, for every cohort, I learned something. I learned from my students. I learned from it because I believe teaching is not a monologue. It should be a dialogue, right? Where you give and you also receive as well. So in this cohort, I'm looking forward to putting in my very best in terms of what you need to know regarding transiting to business analysis or even becoming a product owner, right? Becoming a product owner. So I'm looking at, putting in my very best, give you the best of information, the best of practical knowledge that you need to have, and also open you up to projects. So I have a current project that I'm working on. And the good thing is that once you guys are done with this particular program, you guys will join me in that particular project that I'm working on. So you get hands-on experience on how to do most of the things, if not all of the things that you have been learning in class. So I would like Jennifer to also introduce herself. Okay, for me, in terms of introduction, I'm Genesis and when you cool. Luckily, Jennifer and Faith have seen me face to face. Jennifer used to be my colleague. Faith was my colleague at some point in time, uh, but I've not seen Zolfa before. So I believe one of these days we'll have a screen sharing session where everybody will just show their face and we see one another and put a face to the name. Currently, I'm a senior product manager with Rover. Rover is a fintech cross-border um, payments company that focuses on Africa diaspora in the UK, helping them to spend, save, and send multiple currency, um, send funds through multiple currency channels across UK and Africa. So I'll allow Jennifer to introduce herself. After that, then I'll like Faith and Zolfa to briefly introduce themselves as well. So Jennifer, over to you.
Thanks, Genesis. Yeah, and nice to meet you, Zolfa and Faith. It's a pleasure. I don't think my story is going to be so long, but basically, I currently work as a senior analyst for Birindu Consulting. Right, it's a consulting company that basically is interested in innovation and supporting organizations and entrepreneurs around their innovation journey. So, helping them solve problems, helping them through with tools around how they can build very innovative ideas, right? In the market. So we help with go-to-market strategies. We help them with things around strategy, right? And then we do a lot of other things in the back end as well. But basically, I think the focus for our company is innovation management, basically, and then a lot of consulting work from companies here to there. So I work there as a business analyst and I support with their impact work, right? So that's ensuring that in terms of the data that we collect from the programs that we do, because also part of what we do also is a capacity building arm as well. But any data that's coming in terms of the programs, in terms of work with clients, we're using that to learn, right, and improve our services to them. So I also work in that impact lab department as well. In terms of my journey as a business analyst, I've been a business analyst over the last 7 years, 7 to 8 years. I think that's going to 8 years. Yeah. I wasn't into tech. I did my undergrad biochemistry, did my master's in public health, and then I kind of transitioned into tech but through the social development space, right? So I joined where I and Genesis worked. It was more around social tech, basically, right? So we're supporting the government with creating um, technology that help them with coordinating social development programs, right? So that was where I really started my business development journey, my business analyst journey. Yeah, and I progressed from there. So a lot of work around that aspect, and then I've just done things on the side around monitoring and evaluation, which is also like a side passion as well. So that has been my journey so far, right? I think a lot of things I've learned on the way it has been very um has been through the work I like basically being hands-on has been very helpful for me, right? And then also support systems as well. So I think in our company we have the business analyst team, which was very helpful for us, sharing ideas, sharing thought processes around things, any new thing that has been learned, if the issues across different sectors that we all worked in, right? We're able to, brainstorm and all that. So that was really helpful for me. But yeah, that has been my journey as a business analyst, right? And I think you have a bit of background of where I am now and what I studied in school. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thanks for that introduction. Okay, Zolfa, I know you've given me a brief intro, but for the benefit of everyone, just a brief intro about yourself, what you currently do, and also your country of residence as well.
Hi, my name is Ofa. Nice to meet everyone here. Um, I currently relocated to Canada, Milton, Ontario, precisely. I was a licensed pharmacist in Nigeria, and I've practiced for a while. Relocated to Canada and decided to transition to business analysis. I'm currently just learning and trying to gather all the knowledge I need so that I can transition safely and effectively. So that's why I'm here, and I hope to achieve my overall goal at the end of the day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Zolfa. Thanks for that intro. All right, Faith.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Faith. So I am currently in Canada, Alberta. I just came in on Monday, but I've been in the US for the last 2.5 years. I just felt like I needed a break, so I came to Canada. Um, so I've been working since I came in, although I've been a student, but I've been working in US as a DevOps and cloud engineer. And I felt like it was time for me to. I also studied information system security, cybersecurity, but I felt it was time for me to leave the very technical side of everyday programming and Python, in and then do something a little bit more technical, product or technical BA. So the funny thing is, just like Jennifer, I actually studied my first degree is in biochemistry, but from biochemistry, I went into doing social media. I was a social media manager before I switched to tech. It's funny that my very first introduction to tech was actually BA, which is how I met Genesis. And then somehow I was supposed to start a training. I was supposed to do a training with him like this. And then, now, talk here and there. People were like, oh, do DevOps. And then I switched to DevOps. And now I'm switching back. I'm switching back to BA. I'm like, maybe I should have just done that training when I had the opportunity then. But, nothing spoils still. So I'm hoping to learn. I've done a little bit of this training before with someone, a friend of mine. But we kind of had a clash out. So I am coming here as I'm starting all over again, learning from the scratch and hoping to get as much knowledge as I can. So nice to meet everybody. And I hope that's we're able to learn together and grow. Jennifer, I didn't catch where you said you currently live. Are you in Canada as well, or UK?
No, Nigeria.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, all right. So that's my own background.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. So today we are going to today, just as we introduce ourselves, today's class is going to be purely introductory, and it's not going to be time consuming because we just want to understand. I want us to understand in quick, easy steps what is business analysis, who is a business analyst, and who is a product owner basically, and then we end with Scrum methodology, a quick overview of Scrum methodology. So today is purely on an intro level. I believe having a good background or foundation would actually help in setting the pace or setting everything ready for you to get and to understand what the career is all about. So I'll go ahead to share my screen. Do let me know when you see my screen, okay? So if you can see my screen, just let me know, okay?
There is a lot of Okay, now I can see.
Yeah, you'll be see. I think you are seeing an infinity mirror.
Yes,
That was because
it's
I was sharing my entire screen. Yeah.
okay.
So as I mentioned, the business analysis program is going to be for 4 months. We're going to have 2 months of intensive training. By intensive training, what I mean is that you're going to have back-to-back training in these 2 months. So this is May. So May, June, and then by July, we're going to have we'll be ending the classroom sessions approximately on the third week of July, right? Then after the classroom session, we'll move over to the project phase, where you'll be involved in the project. You work with stakeholders. You would also write requirements. You would also interact with technical stakeholders as well. So let me just give a summary of how the journey would look like. So in this journey, especially the in-class part, we are going to have, I've been able to categorize what you're going to learn into 4 key buckets. The first bucket is the general knowledge, to understand generally what business analysis is, what are the key concepts in business analysis, how do you basically plan for a project. So you're a BA, you got a job as a BA and you're thrown into a project. What are the first set of things you need to do to plan your activities as a business analyst? And then how do you identify the needs of stakeholders? And one way we do that is through elicitation. So eliciting requirements, fact finding, of doing some sort of, could be experiment or observation or collaborative way of understanding the needs of your stakeholders. So we're going to touch on that. Then we now go deeper into the technical competency in business analysis. And in the technical competency, we'll be looking at how do you prioritize what you want to build, either as a product owner or as a business analysis. So look at different ways to prioritize. Remember that you have actually gone to identify what your stakeholders need, what they want, right? What their needs are. But how do you now prioritize those needs in order of which one should be the highest priority, which one should be the medium priority, and which one should have the lowest priority? And with what framework are you going to use to prioritize? That is because when someone tells you that, oh, I want us to build A, B, C, D up to G, and then you come tomorrow and tell the person, you're going to do D first. After D, we're going to do F. After F, we'll do A. After A, we'll do B. When you come to stakeholders with that prioritization they are going to ask you questions that why do you want us to do D first? Why are you prioritizing D ahead of G? Why are you prioritizing F ahead of B? So by the time you're able to use a tested and trusted prioritization framework that works in the industry, you'll be able to provide more facts, convince your stakeholders why you have basically prioritized what you want to build in that particular manner. And after prioritizing, the next thing for you will be then to go ahead and start writing out those needs. So in business analysis, needs are called requirements, right? Whenever you hear requirements in business analysis, what we are basically talking about is needs. That need could be a stakeholder need, it could be a solution need, right? So whenever you hear requirements as we go along, just have it at the back of your mind that that requirement means the need of a stakeholder or the need of a solution. All right. And then by the time you are done translating the needs of those stakeholders that you've identified into technical specifications for your engineering team to understand, you now go ahead to model those requirements. So we'll be looking at 3 requirements modeling techniques. We will look at how to draw a use case model. We'll look at how to draw a cross-functional process model, and we'll look at how to draw a sequence model. So we're going to look at these 3 requirement modeling technique, which are commonly used within the industry. If you are a technical PO or technical BA, you will be drawing sequence diagram. In short, you will draw less of process models, but more of sequence diagram. But if you are not a TPO or TBA, you won't be drawing sequence diagram. What you just focus yourself drawing will be either use case model or process model. So we're going to cover these 3 modeling techniques, and then we'll look at different types of documentations that we'll prepare, right? For the BA, we'll look at the BRD, which is called Business Requirements Document, and the FRD, which is Functional Requirements Document. While for the PO side, we'll look at PRD, Product Requirements Document. So if you are a product manager or product owner, just as the business analyst will prepare an FRD and share with the engineering team, you'll be preparing a PRD to share with your engineering team. And then once we are done with the technical competency, we'll also cover the strategic competency of things. And that's because business analysis is not all about technical. Business analysis incorporates both technical, strategic, and operational. So it is all encompassing, and we're going to cover all that. So in the strategic aspect, which is Jennifer's forte, Jennifer will handle most of the classes within the strategic areas. So we're going to look at business cases, things like cost benefit analysis, things like market entry or market analysis. So Jennifer is going to cover all of that. Then we'll look at business modeling, how to actually model a business idea to be revenue generating. Then we'll look at how to prepare a product roadmap, right? So I call it product vision and strategy. How to, using your vision as a product owner to guide the implementation or the journey or the roadmap of a product. And then the last item we're looking at that strategic is strategy analysis. As a business analyst, how do you carry out a strategy analysis or process improvement initiative? By the time we are done with strategic competency, then the last bucket is the complementary skills. In complementary skills, we'll talk about APIs, introduction to APIs, how to manage an API, right? How to document an API, even how to test an API. So in this part, in part of the API section, it's going to be pretty technical. So we're going to be using tools like Swagger, tools like Postman. We use Postman to test an API, and we're going to use Swagger to document an API. So you're going to learn how to use these tools to actually test and document our APIs. Then after that, we'll look at how to manage a backlog. A backlog is a list of items. Remember, I talked about prioritizing what to do. When we prioritize what to do, we list out what we want to do in order of priority, right? Now, how do we manage that list? We call that list a backlog. So how to manage that backlog effectively. And then we look at product development lifecycle. What are the various stages and phases of software development or product development lifecycle? And then we end with solution evaluation. So the product is actually live, or the solution is actually live. How do you evaluate and maintain, or should I say improve on that particular solution? So this is going to be our journey for the next 2 months in terms of learning and training. Some of the house rules I do have for the classes is that I always encourage everyone to mute their mics, right? When the class starts or when you join and the class has started, feel free, please mute your mic. If you have any question, you can write down your question. I divide the classes into sections, right? So when I'm teaching, I divide my classes into sections. And after every section of the class, I open up the floor for anyone who have a question to ask their question. So if you have any question, just pen it down somewhere. When I open up the floor for question, you can ask your question. This is to help everyone to flow and also not to distract the flow of communication that we are having. Also, if I'm too fast, because sometimes people say I talk so fast, right? So if I'm too fast, feel free to unmute and just draw my attention to it. And so, Genesis, you're pretty fast, or your network is breaking. Sometimes network could be unreliable. Just draw my attention to it so that I can pick it a bit slower or start from where you couldn't hear me. All right. I don't know if there's any question from anyone before we commence. Yeah, go ahead. Did someone raise up their hand or it was a message? Okay. Okay, Faith
It was a
said no.
message.
All right, cool. Okay, thanks. I thought it was an hand raised. Okay, so let's start. Introduction to business analysis. Zofa, you mentioned you've been listening to video recordings that I've done in the past on business analysis. Faith also mentioned that she has, gotten a bit of knowledge of business analysis in the past, but couldn't take it further. But I like an interactive class, and I'll just start by asking, can you both share your understanding on what you, share with us what you understand about business analysis, or what you understand business analysis to be? Starting with Faith.
Okay, mine was not business analysis, mine was products.
Okay.
So I just got like a little general overview of like what a product owner does, what they do on a day to day,
Okay.
do like product backlog. The person also mentioned that they do a couple of product backlog. Then they interact with like stakeholders, also interact with the dev, right? And then
Okay.
build user stories when needed, using Jira. So I went through a little bit of like Jira. So
Okay.
it wasn't so familiar to me because I do all the planning even on my job now. We do sprint planning,
Mm-hmm.
we do sprint retrospective, we do sprint goals as well. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of it just kind of explained that, okay, this is what the product owner does with the team. Although it was a little bit confusion between what a scrum master does for the team, because sometimes the scrum master takes care of those things instead of the product owner. But the product owner is more client facing and stakeholder, like depending on which stakeholder, either the stakeholder for the dev team, or the client, like the customer, which is the client itself. So that's the knowledge I got a little bit.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate. Zolfa?
Uh, from my little knowledge, I know that business analysis is a practice of enabling change in an organization by probably defining the needs and providing solutions that will deliver value, yeah, to the stakeholders.
Awesome. 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 All right. Thank you so much for that definition and also for sharing what you understand. So both of you have pretty much given like an overview of what a PO and also what a BA is or what they do. So, but for the benefit of the class, to start with business analysis, then we also talk about product owner. So, a business analyst, people call a business analyst a magician, right? A magician, a miracle worker, someone who just comes and then there's a lot of chaos. And when he comes, he arrives as a Superman or as a Catwoman and flips his wand and everything just settles, right? That's how so many people see business analysts are people to help them solve problem solvers. That's why problem solving skills is very important in business analysis. But just as you've said, Zolfa, business analysis basically is the process of, or should I say, the practice of enabling change within an organization. Enabling change. And that is because at every point in time in an organization would want to change or implement a certain level or layer of change within its current business process or within its current policy or within its current infrastructure. And what we call change today in the business world are initiatives. So as a BA, the business analyst is responsible for enabling, making sure that a change occurs successfully, making sure that companies can transit from point A to point B efficiently. And how does business analysts, or how do we do this as business analysts? We do this by first on identifying, understanding, and defining the needs. If I don't identify the needs of a stakeholder, or I don't understand the need of a stakeholder, or I'm not able to clearly define for everyone to see the needs of the stakeholders, then I've actually failed as a PA in my duty. So we first start by identifying the needs of our stakeholders, understanding those needs. Sometimes stakeholders will tell you something, but that is not actually their need. That might be a want. So in this line of business, we also help stakeholders to guide them to understand their actual need. Let me give an example of what happened at my place of work this particular week. Because most times whenever in my classes, I use my day-to-day experience, what I've done, what has happened, or what have happened in the past in my journey to teach. I believe it helps to drive home the point. So this week, there was a feedback I got from the customer support team, and they said that they noticed that the mobile app, that's our mobile app, is flickering, or should I say flickering? It kind of flashes when you log in. It kind of, let me use the common word. It blinks, so the screen will kind of blink. So one of the lead mobile engineer in the organization, he made a recommendation and said that why that is blinking is because of the loader. So there is a particular, let me not go too technical. So there's what we call loader in mobile development, which helps to load different screens on the mobile app. So it was like it's because of the loader. And as a result of that loader that we have, that is why the current loader architecture we have, that's what's making the screen to flicker or to blink and what have you. So, and it was recommending we use a widget loader that will solve the problem. But, in such situations like that, as a BA, you don't just take that recommendation as is face value. Of course, that is not my area of expertise. It's a technical decision that needed to be made. But as a result of, but as a BA, due to my background in business analysis, whereby if you tell me anything, I don't need to just take it at face value. I need to be able to ask questions to make sure that we are making the right decision. So I drafted out about 7 questions and I asked him. And I asked him things like, why do you want us to use a widget loader? 1, what are the pros and cons of using this widget loader? What impact would this widget loader have on the app? So I asked him so many questions because I know he never expected me coming from the angle of asking him questions. He believed that since he has been building mobile app for over 6-7 years, he's an expert in it, I should just go with whatever I say. But for me, it's my products, and I need to make sure that whatever you are using on my products or you want to implement on my products, I want to make sure that you yourself, you are aware of what you are doing and you are doing the very best. And I'm also aware of what you are doing on my products. So I asked him all of these questions, and from the questions I asked him, it's resulted, when he was answering the questions, he now puts his line manager, which is the head of mobile engineering, in the response. And when he put the head of mobile engineering in the response, I responded back to him. It now turned out that his boss now had to recommend another type of loader. His boss was like, no, let's not go with that widget loader. Let's go with a skeleton loader. The skeleton loader is a lot better. The widget loader will malfunction and all of that. So had it been I did not ask those questions as the BA, I wouldn't have been able to identify what the need is and also what kind of solution should we implement in that particular instance to solve that issue or to solve that problem. So as a BA, we help stakeholders to identify, understand, and define the needs in every circumstances. And that's because at every point in time, the problem or the issue could be very minute or it could be a very big problem. Always have that back of your mind to ask a very lovely question called why. Why is a very important question we ask as business analysts. We don't just take things at face value. They give you something, okay, Genesis, go and implement this particular thing, or go and, we go and do a research about this particular requirement, blah, 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 or this particular feature. Why do we need this particular feature? It's not a harmful question. Why do we need it? What do you want to use it for? What benefit does it stand to gain? Or do we stand to gain? What value will it add to our customer? Who is initiating this particular request? So we do all of these things to help stakeholders to evaluate the decision they're making so that everybody could be aligned or everybody could be comfortable that we're making the best decision, or we can be aligned on our individual needs. By the time we define the needs, then we go ahead to now recommend a solution. We go ahead to what? Recommend a solution. And that is part of our job, our duty or responsibilities as BA, to recommend a solution. This, I used to tell my students, it is not your decision, it is not in your purview or your capacity as a BA to be the one to make the decision. And that is the mistake that most business analysts make in their careers. It is not in your capacity to make a decision. Rather, it is your rightful responsibility to recommend a solution, and then stakeholders make a decision. Have that at the back of your mind. Whether you are except in product management, whereby you be the one making most of the decision, that's one of the slight difference between BA and PM. As the PM, you can, on your own make a decision. Like I made a decision, okay, let's go with this since you have been able to convince me that we should do this. But at the end of the day, the PMC have some, there are some cases whereby the PM might not be able to make a decision. If it is something that affects the organization in a whole. Then we can have management coming in to make a decision. But as a BA, your job is, after you have defined the needs, you can then recommend a solution, right? Recommend alternatives, recommend best way to solve it. And your recommendation is not bad for you to communicate to stakeholders that this is what I am recommending us to do. Okay, I'm recommending us to go with A and not to go with B because of this. And then let them know what, make a decision. And all of these things happens when you when you are in an organizational wide project, right? And that's because as a BA, we are required to be what, embedded within the business, within the organization. But a product manager is solely focused on a product within a business, but the BA is focused within the entire, providing value to the entire business. So we recommend a solution that basically deliver value to our stakeholders, which is another key thing you need to have at the back of your mind as a BA going through this journey. You are recommending a solution, and not just any solution, but you make sure that your recommendation actually delivers value to stakeholders. These are the three key things that make us, that makes someone a business analyst, or that um, make up the business analysis career. One, identifying, understanding, and defining the needs. Two, recommending solutions. And three, making sure that those solutions add value to our stakeholders. We're going to talk about cross-functional stakeholders so that you understand, when we say stakeholders, who they are and what area are they involved in. Now, business analysis can be practiced in different areas, and it helps organizations to actually articulate what they need and the rationale for which they want to actually embark on that change. Now, we're going to look at the three common sectors that business analysis is actually being practiced in, or should I say, the three common areas in business analysis. Number one is tactical or technical business analysis. What this entails is that you are doing a lot of technical thing as a BA. You are majorly involved in building a software solution. Things like IT business analysis or technical business analysis, things like product management, right? They are actually what you do if you are doing tactical analysis. The next one is operational. Operational analysis has to do with process improvement. So we have a current process or an existing process. Are you coming as a BA to help improve or help enhance that current process? Could be a current recruitment process. For instance, Uptrust want to enhance their hiring process or their recruitment process. Probably realize that it's taking us 2 months to actually complete our recruitment for new talent or new employees. And then we say, oh, come on, we need the business analyst to come and help improve our current hiring process. So that is an existing process. I am coming to look for ways to identify bottlenecks, wastages, or inefficiencies, or probably to see how to automate the process so it becomes a lot more effective, efficient, and time saving, right? And then we have things like strategy analysis, which is another aspect of business analysis. And it entails things like consulting. The guys that work with, just as Jennifer is working with Verindu Consulting, they do a lot of strategy work. The bulk of the work they do is strategy, right? Business modeling, market analysis, working on business cases, things like profitability, costs, benefit analysis, market entry, all of those stuff. So these are the different sectors within business analysis, and business analysis can be performed within these sectors efficiently and effectively, right? Sometimes, depending on how large the project is, and also at what point you joined the project, you can go from operational analysis and then finish the project with tactical analysis. Some other time, it could be that you go through strategy analysis and finish the process and finish the project in operational analysis. It could also be that you go through strategy analysis and the project ends with tactical analysis. Let me give an instance. Going through operational analysis to tactical analysis. Let's say, for instance, using the case study I mentioned, Uptrust want to improve our hiring process, right, or our recruitment process. And today our recruitment process is currently manual and want to improve it. We start by first operational analysis, understanding the current recruitment process, and then mapping out, engaging stakeholders within Uptrust to, map out the current as-is process flow for our recruitment process. By the time we do all of that, then we do the strategy analysis to get the future states of our recruitment process. Part of the recommendation of that process improvement could be that let us implement or incorporate a digital solution for recruitment, maybe using one of these HR management solutions to enable or make our hiring much more efficient. So there's a recommendation for a technological tool to be incorporated. Now, from that process improvements that we've just done, we need to make sure for us to complete that project of improving our hiring process, we need to incorporate a technological solution. That now takes us to our tactical analysis, where we now gather requirements, we document the requirements, we work with engineers to build out the hiring solution, and then which is tactical analysis. So as a BA, you've gone from operational analysis to tactical analysis, right? Another one could be that you're going from strategy analysis to tactical analysis. And what that entails is that, let's say, for instance, as an organization, we want to actually go into new and emerging markets, right? We see the opportunity to actually, probably in the health industry, to build a telemedicine, right? Build a telemedicine in Nigeria. Probably we, as Uptrust, will be focused in Ghana, providing services to people in Ghana in terms of healthcare, how to access healthcare solutions digitally to people in Ghana or the market in Ghana. And then we want to actually come into the Nigerian market. We'll also do what we call market analysis, right? Market entry analysis, which is to help us understand how the Nigerian market functions and what have you, right? Which falls under strategy analysis. By the time we finish that strategy analysis, we might decide to say, oh, our current telemedicine solution, we might need to enhance it or add more features to it for us to effectively launch in Nigeria. Then that takes us from strategic to what? Tactical analysis. So in business analysis, you could be doing a project that is only strategic, right? And all you are doing in that project is strategy analysis. It depends on the project. Sometimes it could be only tactical analysis you are doing in that project. Other times it's only operational analysis. And then some other times as well, which is also common, you could be combining both strategy and tactical. Also be combining operational and tactical. One, it depends on the organization you work with. And two, it depends on the nature of the projects that you are working on. Now, I don't know if anyone have any question before I go on to look at who a business analyst actually is. So do you have any question? Please feel free to unmute your mic and talk. Okay, I'll take that silence as a no. So we'll go ahead to now ask ourselves, who is a business analyst? We've been talking about business analysis, what business analysis is, how we help to, identify, define, and understand the need, recommend solutions to stakeholders to make sure that those solutions deliver value to them. So who then is a business analyst? As I said, a business analyst is a magician, right? But just using that word anyway. But a business analyst basically is someone who is responsible for understanding what the problem is and using different tools and techniques to recommend the best way to solve that problem, to make sure that stakeholders get the value that they need. Let me give an instance here. If you want to travel, just as Faith mentioned that she just relocated from the US to Canada in Alberta. Now, if you want to travel, right, you want to relocate from Canada to Calgary. Now, you've made this decision on your own and you've planned it all by yourself, right? But there are people that, let me not say people now, this is you as an individual trying to relocate from US to Canada. If a company wants to relocate from US to Canada, you agree with me that they won't just plan it the way you've planned, right? They will want to consider different metrics, want to look at different areas. Okay, even though we have to go to Canada, which province in Canada? And I believe you also did this for yourself. When you decide to go to Canada, you must have asked with your common mind, right? To say, which province in Canada do I want to go to? Why do I want to go to Canada? Why do I want to stay in this province? What benefit do I stand to gain in this province? What are the pros? What are the cons? Or in terms of what are the advantages and disadvantages of this particular province? Are there other provinces that offer better opportunity in what I'm looking out for? Right? You must have sat down and considered all of these conditions or criteria, ask yourself these questions before you actually take that step to say, okay, I'm going to this particular province in Canada. Now, a business analyst does pretty much the same thing, but the only difference is that we use standard, tested, and trusted tools, techniques, and framework to arrive at the decision that you've arrived. We might even use that particular tool if you engage a business analyst and say, oh, I want to embark on this project. And the project is titled Relocating from US to Canada. I want you to be able to help come up with the best province that you feel I should relocate to as an individual from US to Canada. And you give that project to a BA. The way the BA will handle that project is different from the way you're going to just ask yourself questions and say, because the fact is that if you as an individual, without the use of business analysis tools or techniques or framework, you are most likely going to make your decision, or you're going to make what we call a biased decision based on emotion. I don't like this place. I don't like the weather. I've heard some things about it. You might not basically make your decision based on factual reasons, right? It might be based on emotion, based on affinity, or based on what you've heard people say about that particular place, or maybe because it's just the only option you have, right? But if you approach it from a business analysis angle, or a business analyst handles that as a project, the person will help you come up with factual reasons why you should move to a particular province with the use of standard tools, techniques, and framework. So for you to actually be a business analyst, the very first place I have to tell people to start is to start with their common sense. If you are very good at applying common sense, which is our logical sense, if you are very good at applying common sense, all you need to succeed as a BA is to now understand at every juncture or every point of the road of solving a problem or working on a project, which business analysis tool or which business analysis technique should I use for this? Your common sense knows that, oh, natural, this is what I'm going to do. But which business analysis tool will help me to get a better result at this? If you are talking about how to improve a business, I believe somebody reaches out to you, or maybe you are in the comfort of your home and you're thinking, I want to start a baking and confectionery business here in Nigeria, or here in Canada, or here in US, or here in the UK. And you begin to think, oh, how am I going to go about this business? Okay, I'm going to be baking puff puff. Since there's no puff puff in Canada, or they don't know what puff puff is, I'm going to introduce puff puff. I'll be baking puff puff. I'm going to be baking it from my plate and from my house. I'll make little flyers and share across my neighborhood. This is the amount of money I'm going to charge for the puff puff. This is the amount of profit I'm going to be making. I need to buy this equipment, that equipment, that equipment. Now, at that particular point in our mind, we are doing what we call business modeling. But you don't know it is business modeling. The reason is that you're using your common sense or your common mind to actually draft out, what should I do? What should I sell? Who am I going to be selling to? How am I going to be communicating to them and all of that? But if you pick up the business modeling tool, which is the business model canvas in business analysis, if you pick up a business modeling tool, that will help you to actually make a better and structured business decision on which snacks should you be baking, who should you bake it to, what should you charge, what costs are you going to incur, who are you going to partner with, and what activities are you going to be doing, which you're going to learn in this program. So the business analysis angle to it is basically looking at which business analysis tool would help me to get a better result or make a better recommendation or decision on this particular initiative. And that is what business analysis is all about. Being able to effectively identify the tool or the technique that will be required for a particular change or for a particular initiative. Some of the responsibilities of a business analyst on a high level requires understanding the needs of the organization. Now, in business analysis, needs could be a problem or an opportunity, and we call these needs requirements, as I've mentioned earlier. It also involves analyzing the needs of a solution, devising strategies to improve or to make the business better, driving change, and facilitating collaboration. We collaborate a lot with stakeholders. If you are coming into business analysis and you are the type that you are not open to collaboration, interacting, engaging people, you need to learn to build that particular soft skills of yours, because business analysis involves interacting with stakeholders on a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis, you are interacting with stakeholders. There are some careers in IT that even in a week or some days, you've not been in a group meeting. Maybe they'll just assign a task to you. Especially in IT, if you accept maybe it's your sprint session, maybe I just come and give an update. But aside that, if you are a product manager or product owner or business analyst, you are going to be interacting with stakeholders because you are front facing with different type of stakeholders, trying to understand their needs, trying to solve their problem, trying to get feedback from them, trying to work with the engineering team to solve a problem. So you are interacting, engaging, and collaborating with stakeholders. And these are some of the responsibilities that we have as a BA. And that takes us to the core concept model in business analysis. But before that, I don't know if you have any question regarding who a business analyst is. Okay. All right. Don't worry. I still have time. I'm going to ask questions. So when I ask questions, I also use to evaluate if you guys are following me well. It's good to know that you guys are following along. Core concept model in business analysis. If you remember very well, thankfully we are all science students, right? Zolfa, pharmacist, Jennifer, biochemist, Faith, biochemist, and for me, engineering. So we all had that science background in our secondary and also tertiary level. If you can cast your mind back, when we started learning physics and chemistry and also biology in SS1, I believe that is the stage whereby everyone in Nigeria begins to get exposed to science. And even though we do a bit of intro tech and whatever in junior secondary, but in senior secondary SS1, that's when you start getting much more involved in science classes. Now, if you cast your mind back in those SS1 first term classes, you realize that the topics that were covered in SS1, especially in physics or in chemistry, were basically foundational or fundamental topics. You see, fundamentals of physics or fundamentals of chemistry, right? And in those classes, they teach us things like, especially chemistry, they teach us things like atom, elements, molecules, right? I don't know if you guys agree with me. Just you can unmute your mic to say yes or whatever. Let me know if you actually agree
Yes.
with me that these are the things we learned in those days, right? Things like
Yeah.
I don't know if I ask anyone what is an atom today or what is an element or molecule. You guys are in
It's
the you guys are
molecule of an element or something.
yeah. So now, why do you think in SS1 they did not teach us things like, especially in physics, they did not teach us things like thermodynamics, or maybe in chemistry they did not teach us isotope as the first topic in chemistry? Why do you think isotope or isotopy wasn't the first topic in chemistry? Any reason? Anyone?
Because we needed to get the foundational knowledge
Yeah.
first.
The foundational knowledge are very important. And that's because whether you are learning isotopy, right? Or you are learning thermodynamics in physics, or you are learning anything in physics or in chemistry, there are some core foundational concepts that we need to understand first. Physics, you need to understand what a force is. You need to understand what a mass is. You need to understand what a distance, right? You need to understand what is speed, velocity, displacement, all of those things. And that is because for everything in physics, you are going to either use one or all of these concepts, right? So they're like the core concept in physics. And if you don't have an understanding of what a force is, even though you are studying Newton's equation or Archimedes' principle or whatever, you'll be lost because it will look as though it is magic or film to you, right? So in business analysis, there's what we call the core concept model in business analysis. And I used to tell my students that if you understand the core concept model in business analysis and you have it at the back of your mind, just as you understand what an atom is and you're able to at least give a close definition of what an atom is today, or even though you might not be able to define it today, but when they say atom, you know what an atom is. That understanding resides with you, even though you cannot define it clearly with the textbook definition. Once you're able to understand this core concept model, any project you are involved in, whether it is a tactical project or a strategic project or an operational project or analysis that you are involved in, all you need to do is to first understand how that particular initiative or how that particular problem or how that particular change aligns with the core concept model in business analysis, right? So the business analysis core concept model is the conceptual framework. I know you must have heard me mention that in business analysis, we have the tools, the technique, and the framework. The framework in business analysis is the business analysis core concept model. Once you're able to hack or understand the core concept model in business analysis, you are one way or one step towards successfully, understanding your projects, delivering your project successfully as well. So it is the conceptual framework in business analysis, or if a business analyst that helps business analysts to understand how to execute business analysis work in a nutshell. It is like our own. They say we have agile framework, we have waterfall framework in project management or what have you. Business analysis core concept model is our own framework in business analysis. They say if you understand agile, any agile project you are doing, you will successfully execute it. So if you understand the core concept model in business analysis, any business analysis project you are doing, you would successfully execute it. And the core concept model is not difficult or is not complex like other careers. The core concept model consists of 6 key concepts. These 6 key concepts hold equal significance and importance as each other. None of these core concept model is greater or lesser than the other. They hold equal significance to each other. And they are very important for you to understand in whatever project or whatever initiative or in whatever change you are involved in. Number one core concept model is change. That is the number one core concept model in business analysis. And change is the act of transformation in response to a need. The act of transformation in response to a need. Change in the common lingua or common business term, organizational terms, are things that we call projects. Changes give birth to what? A project. We could realize that as Optros, or as a business, we'll say, oh, we've identified the fact that we are getting a lot of people reaching out to us from Australia, right? And there might be need for us to consider the Australian market. Now, we want to embark on a what? Change. To actually, as a BA, we need to understand what is that change? What are the things that are going to be involved, or we are going to involve ourselves in satisfying that particular change for the Australian market. So change is the act of transformation. We want to transform ourselves from the market we are to another market. Or it could be that for the fact that since we started in 2019, we've always been doing virtual training and students have been clamoring for physical training. Now we want to change our training model to become physical. We need to be able to understand what that transformation, what impact will that transformation have in our business. So change is the very first core concept in business analysis. If you have no proper understanding of the change, of the initiative, of the transformation, you might be lost, or you might not be able to effectively ensure that you deliver value to your stakeholders. The next core concept model is need. Need basically is a problem or an opportunity that has to be addressed, that we want to satisfy. That is what a need is. A need is a problem or an opportunity to be addressed. Need can cause stakeholders to, implement changes by motivating those stakeholders to take an action. So in business analysis, most times people are fond of saying problem statement, problem statement, problem statement, problem statement. But I do tell people that it's not about problem statements. It could be an opportunity statement. Not every project or initiative or change comes as a result of a problem. Some other changes come as a result of an opportunity that we have identified. What do I mean? If we've identified an opportunity that if we change our training model from virtual to physical, we are going to grow our customer base by 300%. That is an opportunity for us, and it is a need. So we need to act in respect to satisfy or address that opportunity that we have identified. Or we identified a problem, and the problem is that we've seen that most of our students, right, don't participate fully in class. And we've seen that as a problem. But we want our students to fully participate in classes and in projects. So how do we now address that problem? We need to make a change in order to address that problem, right? So a need could be a problem, and it could be an opportunity. When you are involved in an initiative, yes, you understand what the initiative is. They say it's a digital transformation initiative. We are trying to see how to digitize our hiring process as a business, right? You need to now go ahead to understand the need. Are you digitizing this hiring process because of a problem you've identified or an opportunity you want to leverage? If they say that the need is a problem, what actually is a problem? You need to understand that problem. Why does a problem exist? Why do you consider this to be a problem? You ask all of your questions. All of these are done during the point of elicitation. If it is an opportunity, you need to know, why do you think this opportunity will benefit the business, right? What financial projections or whatever, or what benefits does the organization stand to gain in pursuing this particular opportunity? So understanding the need in every initiative, in every project you engage in, is very, very important for you as a business analyst. The next one is solution. Solution, which is the next core concept model in business analysis. And in solution, we are basically talking about a particular way we want to satisfy one or more needs of our stakeholders within a context. That's what we mean by solution. So the need is a problem or an opportunity. A solution is, if this is a problem, what are the ways for us to address this problem? If you're able to come up with ways to address the problem, you've basically recommended a solution. Or if this is an opportunity, what are the ways for us to leverage this opportunity? If you can come up with measurable, tangible ways to leverage that opportunity within that context, you have basically recommended a solution for stakeholders. The fourth core concept in business analysis is stakeholders. Everything we do in business analysis centers around stakeholders, right? And that's because as a BA, if there are no stakeholders for you to satisfy, then your job is gone. Whether you are spending all night racking your brain in solving a problem, or you are spending all day in the office trying to know how to leverage an opportunity, we are doing all of that for a stakeholder. If there is a change, that change will basically impact the life of stakeholders. So stakeholder is a person, an individual, or a group of persons who have relationship to the change, relationship to the need, and relationship to the solution. So is it that the person have a relationship, it has something to do with the solution we are recommending, or the person is affected by the need that we are trying to address, or the person is impacted by the change we are making. Once you identify that person and you see that that person is impacted by the change, or is affected by the need we are trying to address, or is going to get value from the solution, we consider that person to be a stakeholder. So a stakeholder is a person or a group of persons who have relationship, or who is impacted by the change, or by the need, or by the solution. The fifth core concept model is value. And value is very important. That's why if you look at the definition of business analysis, it said the practice of enabling change within an organization by defining the needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Now, value is basically the worth and importance, or even usefulness of something to stakeholders within a context. We measure our value by looking at how satisfied our stakeholders are. That is how we measure the quality of value that we have delivered in every initiative. Are stakeholders satisfied with this? Is it addressing their needs? Is it giving them what they want? These are the ways we measure or evaluate the value we are giving as we are delivering as business analysts, right? And then we have context. Context is a very tricky word, right, to understand sometimes, but it's also a commonly used word, right? Let me give an example to help explain context. If I tell you guys, so Zofa, this is for you. If I come to you as a BA and I ask you, Zofa, I want you to help me build an e-learning solution whereby I can deliver or take educational activities or whatever, or training online. Ask me, just let me know what will be your very first or second questions you ask me. Let me just know. Give it a shot.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, so I'm saying that if I come to you and I tell you that I want you to build an e-learning solution for me to be able to take classes online, what will be the first and second questions that will come to your mind?
Build an e-learning.
Just
What kind of
feel,
e-learning? Like what kind of
yeah,
product
what kind
would
of
you
e-learning?
yeah, would you want to like what's the business going to what's the e-learning going to be about?
Uh-huh.
I think ask that. And then do you want it to be like what platform would you want it to be on? Like what different because there are different platforms that you could use for your e-learning. Do you want it to be like do you want it to be an integrated system or solely like on your website?
Oh,
Um
interesting. I wouldn't consider you to be a pharmacist, to be honest. You're already gone into IT because you're talking about integrated system. That is interesting. Okay, good. So, brilliant question. I really love that. The first question, what kind of e-learning? That question addresses what? Context. Because when you say e-learning, e-learning could be that e-learning for kids, right? For children in school. Even if I'm talking about for children, it could be for maybe visually impaired children, or as they say, it's ably disabled children, right? It could be e-learning for a corporate organization, right? It could be e-learning for professional training. It could be e-learning for a tertiary institution. It could be e-learning for a secondary institution, school rather. So telling you that I want to build an e-learning is not sufficient for you as a BA to say, oh, we want to build an e-learning. Okay, we'll do it within 6 months. We'll get back to you. You need to understand what type of e-learning. You want to get the context of that e-learning. If it is an e-learning solution for children, the way we are going to build it will be totally different from when we are building an e-learning solution for a university in US, UK, Nigeria, or Canada, right? If you're also building an e-learning solution for corporate use, corporate organizations, maybe a company wants to, build an e-learning solution for effective employee new staff onboarding, also for effective employee training and awareness, things like all the cybersecurity awareness, SOC analysis that they prepare their training materials from whatever. They might want to build an e-learning solution to effectively make sure that their staff and employee get those trainings as required. The way we build those e-learning solutions is going to be different from the way we build e-learning solutions for professional training use. So understanding the context within which that business analysis initiative applies is very critical. It's very important. So it's one of the secret sauce to hacking your project effectively. To be very honest, many people, you know, many people relegate context as a core concept in business analysis whenever they are considering a new initiative. You need to be able to understand the context for that particular initiative so that you can effectively provide value to your stakeholders. And one way we can actually understand, or should I say, get to know the core concept model in business analysis as it relates to any project that we are doing is, one, we ask key questions like, what is the change about? What needs have we identified and we are going to solve? What are the type of solutions that we are considering? Who are the stakeholders that are involved, right? Or that are going to be affected by the change and by the need? What does stakeholders consider to be of value? And in what context are we implementing this particular change? So that's the end of core concept model in business analysis. And then we'll take cross-functional stakeholders that we work with in as a business analyst or even as a product manager or product owner. Also, does anyone have any question regarding the core concept model in business analysis? Does anyone have any question? Do we have any question? Okay, so let's go ahead to talk about cross-functional stakeholders that we work with or we, collaborate with. And that's because as a BA or as a PM or as a PO, you basically would be working with cross-functional teams. The recruiters put that a lot in job descriptions. They say ability to work or lead cross-functional teams. You'll be working with cross-functional teams. Now, what's a cross-functional team basically? It's basically a team that has members from different functional units or functional areas or functional departments. That's what the cross-functional team is all about, right? So you could have in your team, you have team members that are technical, team members that are business inclined. You have team members like the end user or customer. You have team members that are not also technical as well, right? So we call them cross-functional teams. So I want us to go through a list of cross-functional stakeholders that we work with. Number one is that you could be working with another business analyst in a project, right? I remember when I joined this place, my current place, I had a business analyst that was working directly under me. The guy was from Brazil. Due to the time zone, I resume my own work by 8 o'clock. He resumes his own work by 12 p.m. So his own 12 noon, either 12 or 1 p.m. is his 8 a.m., right? So we work basically hand in hand. I was the product manager then, and he was the BA, right? So you could be working in a project with another BA or with another product manager or product owner, right? So feel free, don't think it is awkward when you come to a team and you see one or two other business analysts or you see another product manager you need to work with in that project. It all depends on how complex that particular project is, right? It depends on how complex. If it is a multifaceted project, I've worked in a project that I'm the product manager from my company. There's another product manager from another company, and we have like 3 product managers from the 3 different companies, and we are trying to deliver one particular solution. So knowing how to collaborate, right, with your fellow business analysts or product managers or product owners is very important. So have at the back of your mind that you can end up working in a project that you have your fellow colleagues. We also have customers. Now, I really enjoy this part of explaining stakeholders. Let me ask this question. Faith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Can you just help differentiate between a customer and an end user? So if you say this person is an end user and this person is a customer, what was your understanding of it? What do you think? How can you differentiate both?
An end user is the person who eventually gets to use the products, right?
Okay.
So that's the person who, so for example, you have like an application. The
Mm-hmm.
end user at the end of the day is the person who actually uses the application, but the
Mm-hmm.
customer can also be called the client, depending on who you're working with. The customer
Mm-hmm.
can be, but the end user is person who eventually use that product that you are working on. I don't know.
Brilliant. One follow-up question. Are
Mm.
you a customer of WhatsApp or an end user of WhatsApp?
I'm an end user of WhatsApp,
Okay.
but
Thank
it
you
can
for
be
that.
both. That is very, I don't even know.
So far, what about you? Are you a customer of WhatsApp or an end user of WhatsApp?
It's very tricky, but I would say
Exactly.
yeah.
You're an end user, right?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yes, because
Usually in my
with any
class,
change that you make,
yeah, in my
that's
class,
how I was like,
there are no wrong or right answers, right? So,
okay.
um, let me explain to you. So now, who is a customer and who is an end user? A customer basically is somebody who has a contractual agreement or who has a contractual or legal obligation to use your products or services. That is a customer. Whether the person is paying to use it or not paying to use it, as long as that person has a contractual or a legal agreement or obligation to make use of your products and or services, that person is considered as a customer. But if somebody does not have any contractual or legal obligation or agreement to use your products or services, that person is not a customer. The person is just what? An end user. Do you get that explanation now?
Please repeat again.
Okay, I'll take it over again.
All right.
A customer is someone who has a contractual agreement or a contractual obligation or legal obligation to make use of your products or services. While an end user is someone who does not have a contractual or legal obligation to make use of your products or services. They basically interact with your solution, that is with your product or services.
Okay.
Now,
Can
let
you
me
use
make it, yes,
a
let me make it more
specific?
practical. Yeah, I actually give the explanation, then I'll make it more practical. When you are opening your WhatsApp accounts, do you used to accept terms and conditions? Or do you agree to the WhatsApp terms and condition, privacy policy, or terms of use before WhatsApp will allow you to use WhatsApp?
Yes.
You do, right? Now,
Yes.
in accepting that contract, that is a legal contract. In accepting that contract, you become a customer of WhatsApp. Are you following me? Let me also give you guys another practical example. So, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me go to Amazon.com. Now, this is me. I've opened Amazon.com, right? I can see all these beautiful things that are in display that I can buy. As even I say, oh, let me get something. Oh, let me get this. You Like Ithaca by Stephen King. I want to get this book. As I am like this, just browsing through Amazon, getting to see details about this item I would like to buy, get to read reviews. I'm an end user of Amazon. I'm an end user. Do you know why? Because I don't have an account with them. I've not accepted any contractual agreement with Amazon. I just stumbled and using their services. I'm interacting with their services. Do you understand? I'm interacting with their product and solution. I can see so many information, but the very moment I want to buy this, watch. The very moment I want to buy this, Amazon will say, oh, come on, stop there. You are not our customer. Before you can buy something from us, we only sell to our customers. So you must first become a customer before you can what? Purchase. That's why they will not ask you what to sign in or what create your own account. Now, let me go ahead to click on create your Amazon account. Read this line for this section. Can you hear me read it? Read it out.
By creating an account, you agree to Amazon's conditions of use and privacy notice,
Which is their legal document, their contract. So the moment I create an account here, I've already agreed to their contract terms. I become what? A customer, and I can now transact or use the service to the fullest. Many people don't know about this. They feel that everybody that uses a product or service is an end user. No. You need to know what distinguishes an end user from a customer. So as a business analyst or as a product manager or product owner, you need to know whenever you're getting feedback from the market, is this person my customer or is this person just someone that is just interacting with my products? If it's a customer, I will prioritize your problems over an end user because I have a contractual obligation to satisfy you in a certain way. And if I'm not meeting up with your need, right, you could actually take me to court. Maybe if I'm breaching privacy use or breaching data integrity or whatever. So a customer is someone who has a contractual obligation or a legal obligation to make use of your products or service, or you have legal obligation or contractual agreement with that person to provide that product and services to that person. But an end user is someone who could, as we use a popular word, browses through your product, interacts with your products. So have that at the back of your mind. Don't always think a customer is only a client. Why we have a popular understanding of a customer being a client is because a client is someone that pays. A customer might not necessarily pay. Since you've been using WhatsApp, have you paid any money? No. But WhatsApp have been making their millions and billions off you because you're their customers. By basically selling your data, selling your conversation and all of that to other businesses that want to use that to market directly to you. So having a clear understanding as a BA or PM or PO who your customer is and who your end user is would help you to know how to manage and engage such stakeholders. Is that clear to us, or are we still confused? Or let me know.
No, it's clear.
You're not sounding as though you accept or you agree. You're sounding as, oh, okay, it's clear. Let me know. Is it actually clear to us?
So the only confusion I have was so for example, if I go to Walmart and I want to
Yeah.
buy something, anything I buy, does that make it, because I used to think end users was more of a technical term, not just
Okay.
any that you're buying. That's how I used to see it. But from the explanation now, if for example I go to a store to buy something, anything without having a legal contract privacy, it makes me an end user, not a customer. You know,
Yes.
that's what it means. Okay.
So
And then
now,
okay,
okay, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and explain further. So context is very important. So we are talking in the aspect of a project that we are
okay,
doing, right? We are talking in the aspect of a project that we are
right.
offering. If I go to to a store, physical store, to buy something, right? Now, that store is under obligation, a legal obligation to provide me services, right? I become a customer of that store, even though there's no physical legal something that I sign. But that particular store is being regulated by a government arm or a policy, right? And is also binding by what we call consumer protection or consumer policy. Are you following me? Now, what signifies the contract there is the transaction that occurs. That is why if you go into, like you mentioned, Walmart, and you go and pick something without paying, they will catch you, right? They say, oh, you're not a customer. What's the problem? You're a thief, right? But the only thing that differentiates a shoplifter from an actual customer is that person paying something. So that's money you are paying to perform that transaction. It is a contractual agreement. Right? They say money is what? A legal tender, right? They say, right? I don't know if I'm correct. Money is a legal tender, isn't it?
Yes.
So it is a legal obligation. I'm actually paying that money for you to what? Offer me that service or that product. So I'm now a customer.
Okay.
Are you following me now?
Yes.
So just have that back of your mind that whenever there is a legal obligation or contractual agreement to provide a service or product to a stakeholder, that stakeholder becomes a customer, not an end user. So I can go to Walmart today and then I buy, let's say for instance now, you can go to Walmart today and then you buy sweater or pullover, right? Or you buy a cardigan, right? And then I come to visit you in your place and I am feeling so cold. And you, oh, make use of this cardigan that I have. I think it will help you to get warm. And I use that. I'm just an end user of that customer. I'm of that cardigan. You are the customer of that particular business you bought the cardigan from. I'm an end user. I'm not the customer. I can't, if I realize that the cardigan is torn somewhere, or there's a place that is open, I can't take that particular cardigan back to where you bought it and say replace this. You will be the one to take it, except maybe you give me the receipt, right? That you used in paying for it. I can take that receipt and say, okay, this is a contractual agreement to say that I actually traded with you, or bought this product from you, help replace it. But if I don't have that, there's no way I can take it back. Are you following me? Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, let's move ahead. We've actually taken a lot of time, even though, we had a good time having a good introduction to ourselves, so that's fine. So that is who a customer is and an end user. I don't know if you have any question or there are still concerns you have regarding customers. Please feel free and let me know. I'm very much happy to make sure you kind of understand how this applies, because it's very important for you.
So what's now? So can you use customer as a client? Is that also a different type of stakeholder?
Yes. So your customer is your client as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Your customer is your client. Right. Okay. Now, the next cross-functional stakeholder we'll be looking at is those we call subject matter experts. So we have who we call a domain subject matter expert. If today we want to build a health information management solution, HIMS, or as people call it, electronic medical record, EMR, we want to build that today. A domain subject matter expert will be someone like Zolfa, who is a pharmacist, right? She's a subject matter expert in pharmaceutical processes and what have you. Another one will be a doctor. Another person will be a nurse, because these people understand clinical processes and they are experts in it. So any stakeholder who understands a process or who is the owner of the process we are trying to improve, or we are trying to automate, or who owns they call them more or less like the project owner. They're the one we are trying to deliver that project for. Those people are considered to be what? Domain subject matter expert. They have in-depth knowledge of a topic that is relevant to the business need or the solution scope. They have in-depth knowledge. If you want to build a credit risk management solution today, a credit officer is considered what? A domain subject matter expert. So when you are trying to map out your list of stakeholders, you ask yourself, who is a domain subject matter expert in this particular project? You try to identify them, and then you know how to what? Engage them. Because for domain subject matter experts, you are basically making sure that they're able to transfer the knowledge about the domain they have down to you, so you can use that knowledge to write out your requirements and guide the engineering team appropriately. And then we have the oh, I messed up my slides. Interesting. Then we have the sorry, let me correct this. I messed up my slides. Interesting. Okay. I think this should be in here. So we've talked about customers, domain subject matter experts, end users. So the next one is, let's talk about regulators and sponsors. Yeah. So the next one is regulators. Regulators are basically stakeholders that are responsible for defining standards, right? Defining and enforcing standards within an industry. If your project relates to an industry that is highly regulated, example is what I do in my place of work. So we are building financial solutions for the UK markets and also the Nigerian markets, right? And globally, it is understood that the British financial industry is the most regulated industry in the face of the earth, right? So everything we do, whenever I want to, build a new product or any initiative, I always make sure I first, collaborate with our compliance and financial crimes team in the UK to understand that what we are about to do is within the framework, within the boundaries of regulatory policy. And we're not going to breach policy by spending months and months implementing that particular product or that particular solution. So you might be working directly with regulators or indirectly with them. If you are working indirectly with them, it means you need to make sure you understand their policies and satisfy those policies. If you're also working directly with them, like I did earlier this year, some auditors in the UK, they came in to audit our products, our financial products, right? And it was a 2 months project from December to January. In short, that particular project made me not enjoy my December holiday. I was so annoyed. Around December 13th, I got a mail that auditors want to audit our products. It's mandatory. They want to do it at the end of the year, blah, 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 blah. 25th, I was still responding to mails from auditors. Send us this document. We want to have a meeting with you. We want to have a one-on-one. Sometimes in a week, I have like almost 8 different calls with auditors, looking through our products, trying to make sure that we are not breaching any financial regulation. So it was a 2-month project. I'm able to finish it up in January. So sometimes you might interact face-to-face with regulators, such as auditors, or sometimes there's no direct interfacing with them. It's an indirect interfacing whereby you get to, you get their policy document or the regulatory document, and you make sure that you abide by those standards and regulations that they have spelled out in the policies. Another type of stakeholders we also engage with or we work with as stakeholders, as business analysts or product managers, are sponsors. Sponsors are basically the ones bringing the cash, right? They're the ones bringing the cash, financing, funding the projects, right? Sometimes, depending on your level, as either a BA or as a PM, you might not necessarily interface with sponsors, depending on your level, right? Most times, if you are in a senior level, maybe a senior BA or senior PM or senior PO, then you might directly be interfacing with likes of general managers, country managers, and what have you. But if you're a junior BA or junior PM or junior PO, you might just be interfacing with your lead or senior PM in terms of what you need to do. But they're basically the guys that are responsible for initiating the efforts by funding or defining the business need and developing the solution. Then we have the suppliers, which we also call vendors. Suppliers are stakeholders outside the boundary of your own organization. Are you following me? Or you can consider them as stakeholders, as vendors that provide services to your organization as it relates to that particular project. Right? So these are people we call suppliers. Then we have testers. In the IT world, we call them QA, quality assurance analyst or quality assurance engineer. These are people that are responsible for determining how to verify that the solution or the product meets the requirements that have been defined by the business analyst. So as a BA or PM or PO, you write out your requirements, and the engineering team picks up that requirement and builds in line with that requirement. After they finish building, sorry, did I go off? Oh, okay, Jennifer
No,
just
you're
joined.
not.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Jennifer
had a
joined.
No,
sound
you
that
didn't.
made me feel as though I went off. Okay.
Mhm.
So testers, after the BA or the PM have finished writing the requirements and engineering picked it up to implement, right? When engineering is completed or they complete their implementation, that particular work will be handed over to the testers, that is the QA, for them to test. And their job is simply, this is the requirement from the BA, this is the solution that the engineering team has built. Make test or should I say verify or validate that what has been developed is completely in line with what has been written down or what has been specified by the business analyst or by the product manager. That is the job of the QA. They have no other job but to make sure that every point in time when something is developed, they verify or validate that what has been developed is actually in line with what has been specified by the business analyst. Then another stakeholders we work with are implementation subject matter experts. So you must have heard me mention engineering or software engineers. This is the place that the software engineers come in. Even we have in this area, we have software engineers, we have DevOps, we have database administrators. In software engineering, we have front end and back end, we have mobile as well. So we all consider them to be implementation subject matter experts. They're basically stakeholders that have a specialized technical knowledge regarding how to implement the solution, right? These are implementation subject matter experts. Then we have operational supports, which are basically what we call customer support or operations analyst or operations team. They are the ones that help with the day-to-day management and maintenance of the solution or of the products. Then we have the project managers, which we commonly know, which helps to manage the timeline, the budget, resources within a particular project. That takes us to the next one, which is classification of requirements. How do we classify requirements? Remember, I mentioned that A requirement is a representation of a need. So when you hear requirements in business analysis or in product management, we are basically talking about the need. There are different ways we classify the need or the requirements. Number one is business requirements, which is basically the statement or definition of the problems, the goals, objectives, and outcomes of the change. We have stakeholder requirements, which helps us to understand the needs of a stakeholders that we must meet in order to satisfy the business requirements. And then we have the solution requirements. Solution requirements talks about the capabilities, components, and qualities of a solution that needs to be satisfied in order for us to achieve the stakeholders' requirements. And then there are two categories of solution requirements. Number one is functional, and the other one is non-functional. Functional requirements relates to the capabilities and components of the solution, while non-functional requirements relates to quality attributes of the solution. So we are going to learn all of this. So don't bother yourself trying to memorize or crack. I always say don't memorize, try to know, but we are going to go in details on all of these things when we pick up the technical side of business analysis. Then we have transition requirements, which helps to, describe the capabilities that the solution must have and the condition. The difference between transition and solution requirement is that we use the transition requirement to help stakeholders move from one phase of understanding of the solution to another phase. A typical example of a transition requirement is your user manual. You agree with me today that if you have never used a smart TV before, like you've never used it before, and then you happen to buy smart TV for the first time, you agree with me that when you buy that smart TV, you will take time to study the manual or how to operate your remote, isn't it? Or probably
Yes.
you've, aha, fantastic. Now, after you finished, let's say if you've been using that particular manual for some days or weeks, to know how to operate your remote and all of that, to use your smart TV, you agree with me that after a month of using that manual, are you still going to be using the manual again?
No.
And that is because the knowledge of how to use that particular product you basically understood how to use that product, isn't it? The manual is no longer useful to you. Most times, the manuals that come with our devices or products that we buy, after a month, we don't even know where they are. Sometimes we even throw them away. So these are transition requirements. They help stakeholders to transit from one stage of understanding the product to another stage or another phase. And once stakeholders have completed their need for that particular requirement, it is no longer needed. It is no longer useful. So we consider them to be transition requirements. Example is test cases, user manuals. They are examples of transition requirements. So any day you buy something and you see a user manual, just smile and say, oh, this is a transition requirement. So I think there's something else you can also relate to as well. And that's the beauty of business analysis. It's all over our everyday life. That takes us to the last section of today's class, which is product ownership and Scrum. But before we go ahead on that, let me know if you have any question. I'm hoping that within 10 minutes we cover product ownership and Scrum. Do you have any question?
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
Okay, how about you? Okay, awesome. Now, who then is a product owner? Just as Faith described, managing backlogs and what have you. A product owner is a person who defines the product story and prioritizes which tasks for the team to facilitate execution. Defining the product story in terms of defining the product vision, so the product requirements, what should go into the products. I used to tell people that a product owner is a very um, dicey role. I'm not using the word dicey. It's a very unique role, not dicey, yeah, unique role. Why? Because product ownership only applies when we are delivering a project with the use of Scrum. If we are not doing Scrum methodology, then nobody will be called a product owner. Are you following me now? Let me give you an instance, an example, and I hope I do justice with this relatable example. If you see somebody, right, and then the person says, I'm a medical doctor, right? If you don't have understanding of how the medical doctor field operates, you will believe that when you have 100 people in a room and they all say they are medical doctor, you will think maybe they are all medical doctors that do the same thing. But that is not the case. Someone could be a medical doctor, but a specialist in surgery. Even in that surgery, we have neurosurgeons and what have you. We have cesarean surgeons and what have you. We have the general practitioner doctor. We have the gynecologist. We have the pediatrician, but they're all doctors, right? Now, the only place that this doctor will say, I'm a pediatrician, or this person will say, I'm a neurosurgeon, or this person say, I'm a gynecologist will come to play is when they come to their own individual specialized area. Now, what am I trying to say? In the world of IT, the term product ownership or product owner only comes to play when we are using Scrum methodology to deliver our project. If we are not using Scrum, then nobody will be called a product owner. We will not have anybody like product owner. If you are using Kanban, there's no product owner in Kanban. What we have is either a BA or a PM. So the two universally roles in IT today that has to do with product or business analysis, that has to do with requirement is either product management or business analysis. Now, if you are a business analyst, right, and you are going at the, because there are different phases of projects. We have the conceptualize phase, we have the delivery phase of the project as well. Now, at the delivery phase of the project, if the team is using Scrum methodology to deliver the project, as a BA, you would assume the role of the product owner. Are you following me now? If you are the PM, at the point of delivery, you would assume the role of what? A product owner. That is why in some well-structured organizations, they have a product manager, they have a product owner. That's because the product manager usually will not concern himself about the day-to-day delivery of the work. But the product owner would concern himself or herself with the day-to-day delivery of the work. So product owner, the term product ownership or product owner only comes during Scrum. You can check Agile Manifesto, you can check Waterfall, you will not see anything like product owner. It's only when you come to Scrum methodology, when we are running sprints, that's where you will not see the word product owner. You will not see project manager in Scrum. You will not see business analyst in Scrum. What you will see is what? Product owner. So if you're a BA at the level of the delivery and the team is using Scrum, excuse me, you assume the role of what? A product owner. If you are the PM, the product manager at the level of delivery, and there's nobody to assume the role of a product owner, you assume that role of a product owner. A product owner manages the product backlog and ensures that the needs of the stakeholders and the business are clearly satisfied. The product owner is like the voice of the customer in that particular project. Is the one that represents the customer in that particular project. And when you are doing Scrum, is the product owner that approves a particular task or work item that the engineering or technical team has implemented. If the technical team have finished their implementation and the product owner is not satisfied by what they have done, he can decline or disapprove that particular work, and the engineering team will need to rework that stuff. So that is basically who a product owner is in the nutshell. During the point of my career, I've had the opportunity to work as a BA. I've had the opportunity to work as a product owner, even a technical product owner, not just an ordinary product owner, a technical product owner. And I've also worked as a product manager. So I've clearly seen where the differences are. If you are not doing Scrum, you are not a product owner. You are a product manager or a business analyst. But if you are doing Scrum at the delivery phase, you are the product owner. So have that clarity in your mind that this is what, when they say PO, PM, or PO and BA, this is the differences. This is where the difference comes in. Okay? Now, what then is Scrum? Scrum is a methodology or a framework within Agile that helps people to solve complex problems in an adaptive manner while productively and creatively delivering products of the highest value. So Scrum is all about solving a problem within a fixed period of time iteratively. Okay? And in Scrum, we have what we call a Scrum team. A Scrum team or a Scrum squad is made up of a product owner, who could be the BA or the product manager, the Scrum master, who, as a project manager, when you come into Scrum, you are now the Scrum master, whose responsibility basically is to help the team remove obstacles or hindrances in execution of their tasks. And then we have the technical team, which comprises the engineers, DevOps, QA, and what have you. These are the people that make up a Scrum team. In a Scrum team, you will not hear anything like business analyst or product manager. What you will hear is what? Product owner. You will not hear product manager. You will not hear business analyst in Scrum teams. Okay? Now, there's what we call Scrum ritual or Scrum events. These are a series of events that every Scrum team must go through. There are a series of events that every Scrum team must go through. So if a team or a project team say that they are using Scrum, it means that they are basically observing all of the Scrum events, right? They are basically observing all of the Scrum events. Now, these Scrum events or Scrum rituals are: 1, sprint planning; 2, sprints; 3, sprint review; 4, sprint retrospective. These are the 4 key Scrum events or Scrum rituals that we have today in Scrum. To explain these rituals or events, the people fondly call it Scrum rituals, but it's popularly called a Scrum event. To explain them, I'll use this Scrum framework diagram. Right? Now, we have to practice Scrum, you must have the Scrum team, which is the product owner, the Scrum master, and the technical team. Okay? The product owner gets inputs from stakeholders, executives, stakeholders, customers, users. Get all of those inputs, which we call requirements. The product owner gets the requirements from stakeholders and then prioritizes that stakeholders on what we call a product backlog, which is the list of items or list of requirements that we want to implement in a prioritized manner. The one of highest priority will be at the top, medium priority will be lower, lower priority or lowest priority will be bottom. So it prioritizes those requirements and ranks them in order of priority in a product backlog. It could be with a spreadsheet, Excel, or using Jira to do it, or using Azure DevOps, right? Whichever tool that the organization is using, you use in prioritizing. The most important thing is to know how to prioritize and manage backlog, right? You can use a spreadsheet or a table, or you use the conventional Jira, or you use Azure DevOps, whichever one it is. Now, by the time you prioritize all of what needs to be done in that product, the team will have what we call a sprint planning meeting. Sprint planning meeting. Sprint is a fixed period in time when the engineering or the Scrum team is focused at delivering or achieving a particular value. Are you following me? So let's assume we have 7 requirements we want to build for a product. Number 1 is account creation. 2 is sign up. 3 is profile, edit profile. 4 is select items, choose categories. Let's say an e-commerce product, right? Now, during the sprint planning, the Scrum team are basically deciding which of these prioritized items, starting with the first one, should we take and can we complete within the sprint? So we can say, let's take account creation and this thing, sign up or login, these 2 features, and work on them. We can actually deliver them. The team have the capacity to deliver these features within this sprint cycle. Now, the team will basically take those features and break those features into what we call a sprint backlog. A sprint backlog is a list of tasks that this Scrum team needs to do in order to implement the items that they have decided to build within that sprint. So they will create another backlog. So we have product backlog, then we now have the sprint backlog. This sprint backlog is managed by the Scrum Master, but the product backlog is managed by the product owner. So get that clear. Product backlog is managed by the product owner, but the sprint backlog is managed by the Scrum Master. Now, once the sprint backlog has been created, the next thing is to now start what we call the sprint. A sprint is either a period of 1 to 4 weeks that the team focuses in delivering value or implementing a component or part of a component of a product or solution. The common industry practice is 2 weeks, but some people sprint for 1 week, some sprint for 2 weeks, some 3 weeks, some 4 weeks. It shouldn't be more than 4 weeks, and it shouldn't be less than 1 week. So during the period of these sprints, there's what we call a daily scrum or daily stand-up, which happens every day during the period of sprinting. And it is a 15-minute session where the team discusses what every member of the team, right, will discuss what did I do yesterday, what will I be doing today, and if there are any blockers or obstacles in achieving my tasks as a team member. So the Scrum Master will take all of those updates. It's a 15 minutes update session. That's what we call it daily stand-up or daily Scrum. The Scrum Master will take all of those updates. If there are any obstacles or blockers that a team member has, mentioned during the daily Scrum meeting, the Scrum Master's responsibility is to make sure that team member is unblocked or that obstacle is removed from the team members' way in delivering their tasks or achieving their tasks. Right? Now, at the towards the end of the sprint cycle, we now have what we call a sprint review because the team will now have a finished work. We have a sprint review session. A sprint review session is also called a demo session, where all the members of the Scrum team will now come, and then the engineering team will now demo what they have done during that sprint. So it's a sprint review. We review what has been implemented during the sprint. That is where you get feedback from the product owner if what has been done is satisfactory or not. After this, if what has been done is satisfactory, we consider that particular work to be what? Completed. And then in the next day or the next meeting is to now have what we call a sprint planning for another requirement we want to pick from the what? Product backlog. Now, once we have finished the sprint review, there's another event or ritual or meeting that happens, which is what we call sprint retrospective. And it is popularly called lessons learned. In sprint retrospective meeting, this is where the entire Scrum team, the Scrum Master, product owner, and technical team come in and they share lessons that are being learned from that particular sprint that they completed. In terms of what did we do well in this sprint? What did we not do well? Or what didn't go well in this sprint? And how can we improve in the next sprint? These are the three things that we discuss in our sprint retrospective meeting. What went well? What didn't go well? And what can we do better or what can we improve in the next sprint? That is why a Scrum team is a highly efficient, effective team that keeps improving and optimizing its efficiency based on lessons that they've learned in previous sprints. So this basically is a nutshell or a brief overview of what Scrum is all about. And that brings us to the end of the session today. I don't know if anyone have any question whatsoever regarding today's class or regarding product owner or Scrum that I just talked about. Do we have any questions? Okay. Okay, Faith said no.
No.
Zolfa, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, brilliant. Thank you so much. So I believe we all understood what the topic is. I'll stop the recording now. So the recording will be made available by tomorrow morning latest. Please ensure, I tell my students a lot, ensure